Well, this is Jim and I live in Texas, and today we're at Whitman Regional Airport in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, and it's the day before the opening of the Experimental Aircraft Association Airventure Oshkosh week-long convention and air show. I really recommend, if you want to come to Oshkosh for the big show, if you can get here the day before, which is a Sunday, before the official opening. A, you can park for free, and B, you avoid the long lines to buy the armbands you need to get in. And you can see there's already a lot of excitement here, a lot of cars in the parking lot, helicopters, airplanes of all sorts everywhere. So we'll go in and walk through the main exhibit area and just get a little preview of Oshkosh before the official opening day tomorrow. If you're not familiar with the Oshkosh Air Show, it's gigantic. If you look at the map here, I don't know how well we can see it, but the runway's a mile and a half long, and this runway is also about a mile and a half, and all of that is air show in the middle of it there, or exhibits of one kind or another. This is kind of the main drag of the show. You can see the static display airplanes are mostly already here. And so what we're going to do is look around, look at some of the, walk up and down and check out some of the airplanes that are on static display. You can buy these. A lot of airplanes are bought and sold at this show. So let's walk up and down the main drag here at Oshkosh Airventure 2009. We're halfway down the main drag here. I'm surrounded by the displays of several of the major manufacturers. This is Piper's display here. Piper's been in business for many years, although they reorganized about 10 years ago, went through bankruptcy, and are now technically called the New Piper Corporation. The company that Piper made, the Piper Cub, went bankrupt, and in order to sever its liability tail, they completely reorganized into a brand new company. They're selling pretty traditional airplanes. These are expensive. Every airplane here is expensive, even the littlest one. There are no cheap airplanes. These are our $1 million, $2 million airplanes here, except for that twin-engine piston on the end is probably 700,000, 800,000. But they're good, reliable airplanes. Across the way from me is the Icon company. They may be following the traditional aviation path to success of starting with a large fortune to make a small one, but they do have an innovative seaplane that they're trying to sell that's uses all the latest technology and is very car-like by their own, according to their own designers. It's in the light sport category. I'll talk more about that later, but that does put some limitations on the design that drives the cost way up. Will Icon succeed and become the next Cessna or Piper, or will they go the way of the Eclipse Corporation, which for several years here at Oshkosh made a big display with their $1 million jet, until they discovered that it takes $2 million to build a twin-engine jet. If you sell them for $1 million, and it costs $2 million to make them, you just can't stay in business very long, no matter how charismatic your founder is. The poor Eclipse found that out. Over here is Cirrus, which is the newest big success in aviation. They came out with a line of single-engine airplanes 10 years ago, such as we see there. It's been a big success. These airplanes have whole airplane parachutes, which is really their big trademark, but they incorporate a lot of high technology into these single-engine airplanes, and they're quite good performers. They also are having their problems with the economy. They've been trying to make this $1 million single-engine jet, and they're having to spin the single-engine jet business out to a separate company because apparently it's dragging down the profitable piston engine part to try to develop this jet because it's so expensive to develop a jet. I see they have two, at least that looks like a flying prototype. I'm not sure if that's a mock-up over there or not. But Cirrus is a well-established company with a great reputation. So hopefully they'll make their single-engine jet and keep making these really nice high-performance single-engine piston airplanes. This is the Diamond Aircraft Company. They're a European and Canadian company, I believe. And they make a really outstanding line of single-engine airplanes also. They're probably the safest airplanes, even though they don't have the parachute. Their flying qualities are based on their original airplanes were powered gliders, and they retain the sweet flying characteristics of the powered glider. The Air Force uses these for initial pilot training screening now. They had a sad story with this twin-engine airplane we see in front of us. This was a really innovative design for a light twin, the first brand new off-the-charts light twin in many years. They came out with it, I guess, 5 or 6 years ago. The problem they had was they were using diesel engines made by a company that was modifying Mercedes car engines, and the beautiful thing about that was that those engines burned jet fuel, which is easier to get in most of the world and cheaper than gasoline, aviation gasoline. The problem was the company that made them could not sell them at a profit, therefore went bankrupt. The parts were fantastically expensive. So what they've had to do is they've had to modify these airplanes to take American-made Lycoming gas engines, which makes them into real hot rods, because the gas engines are 180 horsepower and the diesels were 130. And in the meanwhile, the company Diamond is developing their own diesel because they really believe in the future diesel, and they're probably right. They're also working on a jet, and here's 2 of them here. This is a single-engine jet. I don't know what they're going to sell them for, but there's a lot of people think there's a market for an airplane like this. I don't know if it has a whole airplane parachute or not. ATP's a flight school. I tried to go to their flight school, but I had a scheduling problem at the last minute. Couldn't do it. This is obviously a flight test article, number 002, and we can tell that because of this object here. What this little stinger-looking thing is almost certainly a parachute. When you're testing, it's not to lower the plane to the ground. What it is if you're flight testing and you don't know how the plane's actually going to behave in flight, you want to have what's called a spin chute. There's a parachute in there, basically probably a 10-foot diameter or 8-foot diameter parachute, and if the pilot gets into an unrecoverable spin or some situation where the airplane's not controllable, he can deploy this parachute, and hopefully that'll put drag on the airplane, it'll straighten it out and get it flying again. Here's another one of their Twin Star airplanes. Boy, I'd love to have one of these. You know, this is really nice, and notice it's got de-icing. Those metal strips on the leading edge are de-iced for de-icing fluid. So this airplane can fly in known ice, I think. Certainly it has at least the ability to escape ice with those de-icing boots on, or de-icing system. It pumps basically kind of an antifreeze through little tiny holes in those metal strips, and that coats the wing and keeps ice from forming. Ice is a real big problem if you want to fly all year round. So this is the Diamond Aircraft, a successful company. They've had some stumbles because aviation is hard. It's a lot harder than you might think to design and build whole new airplanes. For the most talented designers like these companies like Cirrus, Cessna Piper, and Diamond, it's hard.